In this section, I want to show you what to do for the calculations in the analysis section. So I'm going to focus on steps 1 through 5 here and doing the calculations for this data table. And again, I'm going to only show you 2 sets of calculations because I want you collecting this data, I want you doing it yourself. Now your calculations, your numbers, will not be the same as mine. You will do the calculation the same, but your numbers will not be the same because you will have collected different data than I did. Because you'll have done it just maybe slightly different. Maybe my measuring cup is not quite 500 milliliters, yours is a little different than mine. Just little things like that will affect the data, just the technique you're using and things. So watch me do these calculations, follow my pattern, but use your own numbers. So for trial 1, which is the empty jug, what we're going to do here, they already filled in the mass of water is 0 because there was no water in there. The mass of the water in pounds, which really is weight, and the pressure is 0 because there was nothing in there. But there was absolute pressure on this. So this is going down to, I'm not sure, I think it's step 3. Okay, so what you're going to do is have a sheet of paper and write analysis here at the top. This is going to be for number 1, trial number 1. And I'm going to write D because it's column D for the absolute pressure. What you're going to do is you're going to take from C the pressure that you calculated, and you're going to add that to the absolute pressure, which we found up, or the atmospheric pressure, excuse me, which we found up here. Mine was 14.7 psi. Yours might be different because you're in a different location, doing this maybe a different day. So it might be different time of day. So 0 plus 14 is 14.7 psi. Okay. For E, and so I'm going to fill that into my table. Here, I don't have to label it like I did above because the label is up there at the top of the column. Now, average milliliters comes from up here. I just copy this number down, 43.5, and again, the label's there so I don't have to write it. Now what they want me to do is they want me to multiply P times V. So I'm going to multiply these two numbers together and write that here. But again, I want to see your work. So I'm going to write F on my paper, and I'm going to multiply 14.7 times 43.5. When I do that, I get 639. And I'm going to write that in my table. Again, your numbers will be different. If your numbers are different here, it will be different from mine here. But it's just multiplying these two numbers together. Don't worry about a label. I'm not really concerned about the label for this one. Okay, let's go on to trial 2. So I'm going to write a number 2. And I am going to start with column B. So I'll label this B. And I need to find the mass of the water. And step 1 here under analysis says, in the table below, convert each mass of water in column A to pounds and record in column B using the conversion factor 1 pound equals 454 grams. So my mass is 500 grams. I had 500 milliliters of water. The reason it's 500 grams is because the density of water is 1. So its volume and its mass are the same. So I write 500 grams. I'm going to do a conversion. 454 grams is 1 pound. So that will cancel out my grams. When I do that division, I get 1.10 pounds. 3 significant digits because this actually has a decimal behind it on my sheet. So 3 significant digits for both of these numbers, so 3 here. And then I go ahead and I write that number down, 1.10. For C, the pressure, it says divide each mass, so I'm on number 2 here, divide each mass from column B by the cross-sectional area of the syringe found in data 2 to give the additional pressure on the syringe due to the water in units of pounds per inch squared, per square inch. Record in column C. So I take my number of 1.10 pounds and I divide that by this value I found here, 1.1 square inches. And when I do that, I get 1.0, I'm going to write it as PSI, pounds per square inch. Now, 2 significant digits, because this number down here is 2 significant digits. And I will write that value in my data table. So 1.0. For D, I add my pressure that I found plus my atmospheric pressure, and I get 15.7 psi. And so I write that number here, which makes sense. I add about a pound of water, I get a pound more of pressure. Okay. For E, it's just copying my number from up here, so 37.5. And then for F, it's multiplying these two numbers together. So 15.7 times 37.5 equals 589, and I write that on my table. I'm not going to fill in any more numbers. I've given you a couple of examples here. I only gave you an example for this one for one time, but follow what I did here using your own numbers. And if you have questions, contact me and I will help you out. And I will be back with more videos on how to do the graphs, but I want you to get all of your calculations done before you do the graph.